Leah, a 23-year-old waitress at Sierra Grill in Carmel by the Sea, California, was enduring a stressful shift. Endless customer requests, order mix-ups, and the rudeness of some patrons had left her exhausted. When an elderly man walked in, dressed simply in a wrinkled flannel shirt, faded jeans, and an old Stetson hat, Leah quickly underestimated him. She assumed he was just another customer who would order something cheap and leave a meager tip. Her fatigue and frustration made her impatient while serving him, despite the man's calm and polite demeanor. Leah made a subtle, sarcastic remark about his appearance, joking that he looked like a character straight out of an old Western movie. Yet, what irritated her most was his unusual composure, as if the busyness and chaos around him didn't affect him at all. Leah had no idea that this seemingly ordinary man was not just another customer, but Clint Eastwood, a Hollywood legend and the owner of the restaurant where she worked. This seemingly ordinary encounter would completely change Leah's life and attitude once the truth was revealed. Leah returned to her tasks, completely unaware that she had just served a living legend. She placed the burger on the table carelessly, but the man remained calm. His quietness unsettled Leah, who was used to demanding and impatient customers. She made a light-hearted jab. "That hat makes me think of an old Western movie." Instead of getting annoyed, the man chuckled softly and replied, "Maybe you're right." His confidence and tranquility frustrated Leah even more. When handing the check to the elderly man, Leah was caught off guard when he asked, "Do you like your job?" Surprised, she replied dismissively that it was just a way to make a living. The man calmly responded, "A job is what you make of it, but how you treat others reveals who you really are." Feeling insulted, Leah quickly walked away until the restaurant manager appeared, shaking the man's hand and addressing him as Mr. Eastwood. That moment was a shock for Leah. Her heart pounded as she realized that the humble man was Clint Eastwood, not only a legendary star, but also the owner of the restaurant. Embarrassment flooded her as she recalled every word and action from their interaction. Frozen in place, Leah understood she had made a serious mistake. Questions raced through her mind. Did he notice my attitude? Am I going to get fired? Little did she know that this encounter was not just a mishap, but a turning point in her life, a lesson in humility and kindness that she would never forget. Leah spent the entire night tossing and turning, haunted by Clint Eastwood's image and his thought-provoking words. The next morning she arrived at the restaurant with a heavy heart, fearing reprimand or even losing her job. Each time the restaurant door opened, Leah's heart skipped a beat, afraid that Clint would return to file a complaint. She tried to hide her anxiety by working harder than ever, striving for perfection in hopes of making up for yesterday's mistake. But just as Leah began to breathe a sigh of relief, the restaurant doors swung open and Clint Eastwood walked in. The air seemed to freeze. Leah stood frozen, her heart pounding as their eyes met. He walked calmly to the counter, just as composed as the day before. Forcing a nervous smile, Leah said, "Mr. Eastwood, I didn't think you'd come back so soon." Clint tilted his head, his sharp gaze filled with understanding. "I like to drop by to make sure everything is still running smoothly." His words felt like a subtle reminder of her attitude. She stammered an apology, but Clint raised a hand to stop her. "No need to apologize. I'm not here to make you nervous, but to share something. How you treat others when you're most tired says the most about who you really are." Leah was speechless. It wasn't a harsh reprimand or anger, but a profound lesson. She realized this wasn't just a fleeting encounter, but a moment that could change how she viewed her job and her life forever. Leah stood frozen as Clint Eastwood left, his words echoing in her mind. How you treat others when you're most tired says the most about who you really are. Those words cut deeper than any scolding could. She realized that even though Clint hadn't shown anger, his quiet disappointment haunted her more than any harsh words ever could. That entire day, Leah worked under immense stress, fearing that Clint could walk back in at any moment to report her attitude to the manager. But as the restaurant quieted down, the door opened once more. Leah held her breath. Clint returned, but this time he didn't leave right away. He sat at a table near the counter, quietly observing. Leah tried to stay professional, but every step he took felt like a reminder of her mistake. When Leah brought him coffee, Clint looked up, his sharp eyes steady but not angry. He gently said, "I didn't come back to watch over you, I came to see what you would do next." His words stunned Leah. She realized Clint wasn't just a powerful owner, but someone who observed and evaluated everything. This time, Leah didn't avoid his gaze. She bowed her head, her voice trembling. "I'm sorry for my attitude yesterday. I know I can do better." Clint smiled softly. "Everyone makes mistakes. What matters is what you learn from them." Leah understood that this was her second chance, and she was determined not to waste it. Leah sat in silence after her shift, Clint Eastwood's words echoing in her mind. "Everyone makes mistakes. What matters is what you learn from them." It wasn't just a reminder, it was a challenge. That night, Leah tossed and turned, thinking about the times she had snapped at customers, the exhaustion that made her short-tempered. But more than anything, she feared Clint wouldn't return, and she would lose her chance to make things right. The next morning, Leah arrived at the restaurant earlier than usual. She was determined to change, but the anxiety lingered. Every time the doorbell chimed, she flinched and looked up, both hoping for and fearing Clint's appearance. As time passed, disappointment grew when the familiar figure didn't appear. But just as she began to think her chance had slipped away, the door opened. Clint Eastwood walked in, still with his simple yet commanding presence. Leah rushed forward, but Clint raised a hand to stop her. He approached the counter, his sharp eyes seeming to see right through her. "I didn't come back to hear an apology," he said slowly. "I came back to see if you're ready to change." Leah was speechless, but this time, instead of panicking, she took a deep breath, nodded, and replied, "I'm ready." Clint smiled and placed an envelope on the counter. After he left, Leah opened it and froze in shock. A letter of encouragement and a check to cover her tuition so she could pursue her dreams. Tears streamed down her face as she realized that sometimes a mistake could become an opportunity to change a life. Leah stared at the check and the letter from Clint Eastwood, her heart pounding. "Use this opportunity to become the best version of yourself. I believe you can do it." The simple yet profound words moved her deeply. She realized that second chances don't come often, and when they do, she couldn't let them slip away. Wiping her tears, she whispered to herself, "If Clint Eastwood believes I can change, then I have to do it." In the days that followed, Leah began to change little by little. She became more patient with customers, learned to listen, and showed empathy. When a demanding customer complained about their meal, instead of sighing in frustration as before, Leah smiled and quickly resolved the issue. She helped a mother calm her crying child and carefully remembered each table's special requests. At first it was challenging, but every smile from a customer and every heartfelt thank you warmed her heart more than ever. Clint didn't return right away, but Leah felt his presence through the words of encouragement in his letter. One afternoon, as the restaurant grew quiet, manager Carol called Leah into her office. Nervous, Leah stepped in, only for Carol to surprise her with a smile. "I don't know what changed in you, but the customers are very pleased. Someone special even left a message saying he's proud of you." Leah choked up, knowing that Clint had been watching over her. From one mistake, she not only corrected herself, but also found newfound passion and purpose in her life. In today's fast-paced world, the story of Leah and Clint Eastwood serves as a timeless reminder of humility, kindness, and the power of second chances. Like Leah, many of us face daily pressures at work, often leading to frustration and impatience. However, Clint's words highlight an essential truth: how we treat others during our most challenging moments reflects our true character. In our lives, it's easy to let stress dictate our actions, but small gestures of kindness can create lasting impacts. Whether it's being patient with a coworker, showing empathy to a friend, or simply offering a smile to a stranger, these actions not only improve others' lives, but also bring inner fulfillment. The story also emphasizes the importance of self-reflection and growth. Mistakes are inevitable, but what truly matters is learning from them and striving to do better. Just as Clint gave Leah an unexpected second chance, we must also give ourselves and others opportunities to grow. In the hustle of everyday life, let's remember that every interaction is an opportunity to inspire, uplift, and become the best versions of ourselves.